initiatives. The group is well known for transforming and offering comprehensive secondary school scholarship through the Wings to Fly program, and most recently for the PPEs distribution exercise that has since benefited 68 public hospitals and all final year medical and dental students from 11 local universities. On April 2019, Kenya and United Nations Environmental Program, that is UNEP, signed a deal to increase forest cover of 10%, but then Kenya had a forest cover of 7.2% below the internationally recommended 10% threshold for environmental stability. That was according to Environmental CS Keriako Tobiko. He attributed this mainly to overexploitation of forest resources that has led negative impacts such as frequent, cyclic droughts, rising temperatures and reduced water levels, erratic rainfall, and destructive floods. To combat this, government came up with an objective of planting 2 billion trees by 2022. We know that we need to take personal responsibility to enable the government, levels and achieve this objective as individuals as well as organization. Good afternoon and welcome on this special interview with Equity, with me, Maureen Kimani. And now Equity has also embarked on tree planting exercise, and in studio we have Eric Naivasha, Equity's Associate Director, Energy and Environment Pillar, Eric Naivasha, who will be, taking us through and telling us more about this. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Maureen.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Let's talk about, you have a very unique name, Eric Naivasha. Wait, maybe you can tell us, do you own the Naivasha or something?
Well, I think Naivasha was named after me.
Oh.
But there's a long story to it, which I can tell you after this interview.
Okay, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Maybe you can tell us, Equity is one of the top banks in Kenya, and most of the times you are involved in banking and other financial related, activities. Why did you choose trees planting?
Thank you, Maureen, for that question. And I think before I answer that question, since you touched on, what we are doing in the foundation, the Wings to Fly program, just to mention that Equity has two engines: the economic engine, which people know as Equity Bank, and the social engine, which is spearheaded by Equity Group Foundation. And we found a formula in which the two engines can work hand in hand. We believe in Equity that purpose is everything. Businesses must exist for a purpose. Not necessarily profit, but we believe that purpose is profitable. So ours is to improve the lives and livelihoods of people, socially and economically, across all spectrums. And sustainability and environmental protection is part of that. Because if you look at our farmers that we support, or SMEs or corporates, they are affected by the effects of climate change. If you see what is happening in the world right now, the rising temperatures, the erratic rains, if you go back to your village, there is a stream that used to cross there, a river, now maybe it's a stream, or even not there, because of the effects of climate change, because the human activity, especially cutting down of trees for wood fuel, for other uses like charcoal and all that, deforestation has been enormous, and the rate of extraction of that biomass is much more than we are able to replace. You can imagine it takes only 5 minutes or even less with a power saw to cut a tree that has grown for 40, 50 years. Yeah, just for logging and for firewood. And as Equity, we said we are going to play a role. And it's good that you have alluded to the government's initiative. It's actually a constitutional requirement that we need to attain the 10% forest cover. there is also a presidential directive by President Uhuru of planting 2 billion trees by 2022, so that we're able to attain the constitutional requirement of 10%. As Equity, we said, let's do a humble contribution and rally partners and use our distribution network of branches. We have 190 branches in this country. We've got lots of agents, we've got lots of customers, over 14 million customers. If we rally that infrastructure, we are able to make a contribution and rally the nation and other partners to come on board and plant trees. So that is our rallying call, because we strongly believe in purpose and environmental protection and management is part of that purpose for us as Equity.
Okay, that's very good. And last year we understand that you celebrated 35 years. Congratulations on that in business. And you planted trees in Kirisia Forest, that is in Samburu. How many trees have you planted so far?
A tree planting in Equity actually started way before the 35-year celebration. You remember a couple of years ago we were in Mau and we planted 1 million trees. And I remember when we were going up the Mau, guys were coming down with charcoal in donkeys. And we were saying we need to do something so that it's not only planting trees, it's also how do we involve communities to transition from over-reliance on forest resources for charcoal, for firewood. There are communities that rely, even their livelihoods are dependent on a forest resource. True. How do we transition our people and our communities to reduce reliance on charcoal? Whether it's a household that is using a 3-stone fire to cook and they need to cut a tree, or a charcoal trader who needs to cut trees for charcoal, how do we transition them to other renewable energy sources for cooking and lighting that does not involve cutting a tree? So it's actually an integrated program. So we did Mau about 1 million a couple of years ago. You remember last year during the celebrations we did, we adopted Miotoni block on Ogong Road Forest, which we are rehabilitating. You remember also last year we went to Mary University. We created a Chancellor's Forest in Mary University. We planted 40,000 trees in 40 minutes.
Wow.
Giving us a total of about 80,000 trees in that forest. We call it the Chancellor's Forest. There have been other initiatives led by the branches, independently, different branches planting trees every year. From our Wings to Fly program, we got something that we call the Community Give Back program. These kids, they come from communities. And we donate scholarships to those communities. And these kids, when they go to school and they are enlightened about the environment, we have a program where they go back and they involve the communities where they came from in planting trees. We've also this year done about 250,000 trees with them as community giver program. So there are many things that we have done. But then we said, let's consolidate all those efforts and create a bigger program that will rally us towards achieving that 5 million trees that we want to plant. But more importantly, because that 5 million trees is a small fraction of 2 billion, is then how to use that as a lever. How do the country and other institutions, churches, schools, hospitals, how do they leverage on that impetus to plant more trees? How do we create more awareness, through this program, the aggregated program now, a bigger program that is visible, that we can now rally the nation around the 2 billion.
So how many are you planning to plant, or is it must to be 35 million or as much as you can?
Actually, that 5 million was coined, from the 35 years. Yeah. It was a birthday gift, We said, you remember, in October, I think 21st, last year, when equity was exactly, I think 21st or 22nd, when equity was at a 5. We did not go to a hotel to celebrate. We actually went to Miotoni, Miotoni block of Gong Road Forest. Okay. And we planted 3,500. So it was, everything is 3,5, yeah?
All right.
So that's really the 35 number is just, to celebrate that 5 years. But we're not stopping there. We believe with more partners coming on board and joining the cause, why can't we even do 350 million? Yeah, we can multiply that by 10. If we rally more partners and people more come on board to support us.
Okay, I know this is an ambitious initiative. How are you going to achieve your target for the planting of the trees?
Yeah, thanks, Maureen, for that question. Because I think this is the biggest initiative that any corporate has done, in terms of the number that we want to achieve. As Equity, we believe in the power of partnerships. We cannot do it alone. So we have rallied partners. First of all, we are partners with our clients, our farmers. Can you plant 20 trees in your 1 acre of land? And we are going to give you, 20 fruit trees or 20 exotic, because we are doing a combination of that. Rallying our farmers and our clients into that cause. We have lots of SMEs, a lot of corporates. So that's one channel. Then you go to schools. Look at the number of schools in this country. Rallying schools and every kid adopting a tree or 2 trees and saying that this is my tree, I'm going to take care of it. I'm in class 7 or I'm in class 3. By the time I leave this school, this tree will be a big tree. Or these 10 trees I've adopted that have been donated by Equity and I'm going to take care of them. So we involve schools. We involve churches and mosques. Like right now, this weekend, we are doing about 25,000 trees with the Kitui diocese. Going all the way to the parishes, 25,000 trees. And many others are coming on board. Because you also believe, taking care of the environment is godly. Yeah?
Very true.
Yeah, because we are actually supposed to be stewards of the environment. In fact, it is a sin to destroy the environment. Biblically. We need to take care of the environment. So we are urging everybody, to come into the cause. So we have churches, we have schools, we have mosques, we have our clients, we have other corporates coming on board. Then we have our support partners like, Kenya Forest Service on the seedling side, because we need to get, good quality seedlings. We have people like Kefri.
And because you're talking about the quality of the seedlings, maybe before we go for the break, you can tell us maybe the type of the seedlings you procure for planting.
Yeah, the seedlings are informed by the geoecological zones that we have in this country. If you want to plant a tree in Karen or in Kiambu, probably it's not the same tree that will do well in Wajir or Machakos or Mombasa. So first of all, we define the geoecological zones and see which seedlings do in those regions. Then of course we work with KFS, Kenya Forest Service, on the quality side and advice. So we work with them, work with Kefri as well. So the seedlings that we are more inclined towards indigenous trees, different species, the moringas, the pondos, those kind of trees, and fruit trees. But there are also other areas where exotic trees make sense. They grow faster. But we are pushing more, especially when we are doing government blocks, when we are greening the roads, we are looking more into indigenous. For farmers, we are looking more into fruit trees because that same tree will be very important in terms of carbon sequestration, getting carbon out of the air. But it will still give you fruits. And there's extra motivation to take care of it. So we are doing a combination of fruit trees exotic and indigenous trees. And we have, people like Net Fund, the National Environmental Trust Fund as well, that is helping us to map out where are these seedlings in different varieties, in different geoecological zones.
Okay, all right. And that is Mr. Eric Naivasha, who is from Equity, and we are talking about the the activity that they are having on planting trees. If you have any institution and you would love to partner with them, you can also, join them. And we're going to take a very short break, but if you have any query, you need to talk to us, you can call on 0717 424 866, and you can send us an SMS on 21760. Let's take a very short break. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Equity Bank, your listening, caring partner.
Equity Foundation has done a phenomenal job. They put the producers, the suppliers, and the people who are using it together. Right now, if you go to any hospital, in Mararal, Marsabit, Lamu, all the hospitals, everywhere, everybody's got PPE.
Jumapili hii ya pili ya maajilio, tarehe 6 Disemba, Capuchin TV tutaungana na Wakristo wa parokia ya Mtakatifu Francisco Saveri, Naivasha mjini, Jimbo Katoliki la Nakuru, kwa ibada ya misa takatifu na sakramenti ya kipaimara. Ibada itaanza saa 5 kasorobo ikiongozwa na Mhashamu Askofu Maurice Muhatia Makumba wa Jimbo la Nakuru. Capuchin TV ni huduma Katoliki ya uinjilishaji. Liturujia Katoliki, sakramenti, kuungama, ekaristi, sala, nyimbo, neno la Mungu, ibada takatifu. Jiunge nasi kila siku ya Jumapili saa 1:30 usiku na Jumatatu saa 4 asubuhi kwa liturujia Katoliki na Padre Boniface Mukwe.
Good afternoon and welcome back. My name is Maureen Kimani, and today we're being joined by one of the Equity's Associate Director, Energy and Environment Pillar, Eric Naivasha, and we are discussing on the Equity Tree Planting Project. And welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, before we had gone for the break, you were mentioning about the seedlings the Equity does procure. Maybe you can touch, and maybe if you have, you can show them the sample.
Yeah, I mentioned about 3 kind of seedlings that we are procuring: the fruit trees, the exotic trees, and indigenous trees. And I mentioned that we are leaning more towards indigenous trees, and there are some areas we actually replacing exotic trees in indigenous trees. I think a couple of years back there was a big push in this country to, to grow exotic trees. But I think if you have to create a real forest, indigenous trees is the way to go. So one of the strategies, and I think you asked me also how we're going to achieve this, and I said a combination of different channels. But one of the things that we are doing in forests is using the seed bore technology. Seed bores, you can throw them in the forest, in the wild. They all stay there, and they only start germinating when the conditions are right, meaning that when the rain starts pouring. So they all stay in the forest, or whatever you have thrown them, for as long as there is no rain, they'll stay there, and unless they are, trampled upon by wild animals and that kind of thing. And in that program, we have a success rate of up to 20%, meaning that if I throw out 100 seed balls, I can come back next season and count 20 trees that they're fairly cheap. And I have a sample here. I don't know whether you have ever seen seed balls.
Not yet.
They are coated with charcoal, so don't touch.
All right.
Yeah. These are seed balls. These are indigenous trees. So they are coated with charcoal, and there's a lot of nutrients inside there that allows good germination. So we procure these, and we can go to the forest and throw them. In different countries, like in Finland, and now you find they use helicopters and just
splashing them
all
over
on the ground. And when the conditions are right, when the rain comes, then they'll start germinating.
Okay.
They are coated with charcoal dust so that they are not eaten by birds. And when they get contact with water and rain, this will just peel off and the seed will start just germinating. So these are the technology that we use of seed balls, especially when we are planting in forests. And we are also, procuring, the seed balls as well. So we are procuring the seedlings themselves that are in a nursery, and also seed balls that have been, packaged well by seedling manufacturers.
Okay. And if you are joining us, that is Mr. Eric Naivasha from Equity, and they have the project of planting trees, which they have been going through with it, and he will be talking to us more about it still, and how. Okay, maybe if you have any question, you can call us on 0717 424 866. I have to say it again, 0717 424 866. It's on your screen, I hope so. And also you can send us an SMS 21760 as we continue with the discussion. And Mr. Eric, because you have traveled to different parts of the countries, how do you monitor the trees that you have planted?
Thank you for that question, because ours is not planting trees as an event. That we are planting, then the cameras, and we say we planted. So is actually growing the tree. For us, success will look like I go back to a school where I supplied 5,000 seedlings, and I see a forest with close to 100% success rate, because we have a very good monitoring system. What we normally do is, if we plant trees in a particular area, we geotag. We do geotagging that tree. Right now, if you go to Google, you can actually see where equity trees are growing because of the geotagging. So at any one time, we can see, you can actually see from Google whether those trees are growing or not. And we have decentralized the tree planting initiative to the branch level, so that every branch has a tree planting champion. The tree planting champion has the responsibility of going back. If we planted in 10 schools in that jurisdiction, then the tree planting champion will occasionally go back to those institutions to see, in addition to what they are seeing on the pictures, they have to go physically, to verify. The second thing is the institutions that we are partnering with, and even individual people who have learned to plant, they have to sign a document. We call it the partner enrollment form that has certain terms and conditions, and one of them is taking care of that tree, meaning that they need to have access to water. They need to have some infrastructure that allows them to take care of those trees during rainy seasons, during dry seasons. Weeding. Sometimes you plant and there's a lot of invasive species that come and start competing for resources with a young tree, weeding and all that. So we partner with institutions that, we are very convinced that they are going to partner with us When you plant a seedling today, for the first 3 years, it's just like a young baby that has been born. Before they start fending for themselves, they need to taken care of quite intensely. So that is what we do. So we have our own monitoring teams using technology and also physical visitations, but also partnering with institutions that we are convinced that they are able to take care of those trees.
Okay, and before we move to the next question, there is one message from Ann Kimani. She's saying congratulations to Equity for the good work. And what are other tree planting initiatives that Equity has been involved in?
Well, as I said before, we've, for the last 5-6 years, we've done a lot of initiatives on the tree planting. As I said, starting with the Mau, 1 million trees. We've done a lot of institutions. We've done a lot of churches. We partnered with a lot of individual farmers. There's a project that we run in Naivasha. Well, it's my name. There's no correlation between that and
Eric Naivasha.
That project is run by my colleague Esther Moirori, who looks after agriculture. And how do you use afforestation program as an economic activity? And we have partners that have been supporting in us. So it's been a wide spectrum of things that we've been doing on that. And as I said, we are now aggregating that into a bigger program, into a national program that will allow other people to, to come and join us and support the government in achieving the 10% forest cover.
Okay, and maybe you can tell us how many seedlings is Equity issuing for the tree planting?
Well, the 1 acre. Let me start there. 1 acre of land can easily take 600 to 700 trees, depending on the spacing. That's 1 acre of land. So in terms of the requests that we are getting, for institution, we are saying do a minimum of 1,000. At least have 2 acres of land that we can give you 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, trees. So it depends on the needs of a particular partner. But for farmers, we are saying, a farmer can access even 20 trees, plant on your farm, 50 trees, on your land, whether they are fruit trees or exotic or indigenous, depending on what the farmer wants. So it will vary between where the trees are being planted. I mean, it doesn't make sense to go and plant 100 trees in a forest. You need to plant in thousands. So we are looking at the spaces. Does the institution have, good spaces that we can plant the trees? And we now look at that and determine the quantity of seedlings that we are going to procure. And while at that, and I know you might ask this, but I can tackle it now.
Okay.
It's on the seedling supply. Because then if we say Nairobi or Kajiado, you go to Kajiado, we're in Kajiado last week on Friday. We did 11,000 seedlings in about 10 schools. Where are we sourcing these seedlings? One of the things we are doing is to source within the local communities. Because seedling production in this country is an economic activity. You see all these guys who, everywhere you go, even on the roadside, you find seedlings. On the road, it's an economic activity. And we are supporting those farmers who are growing seedlings, not only from buying from them, but also financing them to increase their production. Because what you're saying is, we are not just planting this season. Even next season will require a couple of million seedlings. And we want to go to Kajiado and say the demand for Kajiado that we want to do as Equity is 3 million next season. I'm just giving Kajiado as an example because I was there last week. And we want seedling growers in Kajiado to benefit from, from that. We are buying from them, we are planting with them. So it's more community ownership of the, we are actually donating the seedlings to the community and asking the community to partner with us to grow those trees.
Okay, and someone is asking, if I have an organization, how do I reach out to Equity for Partnership? Maybe you can answer that question.
Yeah, I think for that question, I think the answer to that would be to go to the nearest branch, wherever they are in the country. I think we have a branch in every, branches in every county in this country. We are planting everywhere in the 47 counties. So they can go to their nearest branch and they'll get assisted. They can call us at the head office at the Energy and Environment Department, and they can also get assisted.
Okay. And that goes with how can anyone interested in this initiative get involved? I guess maybe you can give out the contact for the person who has the question.
Yeah. They can call, Equity, customer care in number, and they can get information. The surest way is, as I said before, we have decentralized this, to the branch level, so that this information, what I'm telling you, is available at the branch level. All the forms, if anybody wants to partner with us and get seedlings from us, they will just go to the nearest branch and fill the necessary enrollment forms to partner with us. They can call me. Okay. Yeah, they can call me on my number, so that's fine.
Maybe you can give out the number.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, in any organization, and this for organizations, just organizations that want to partner with us, yeah, they can call us directly on 0764 666 180.
Okay. And we understand that we have been hit by the pandemic. How did it affect your planned operation for the Equity, and mainly on this project?
Yeah, we were actually supposed to be quite ahead now, but we suspended our activities in March because tree planting, the approach that we were taking that time was more communal. You go to a university and you line up, 1,000 students on the line, and you plant trees. Now social distancing, now you can't do that. You have to use fewer numbers. So we suspended the program in March. But now with these lanes, so we lost the March May rains. But we said, climate change is not going to wait for anyone. We must plant trees now.
Okay.
Because if we have to benefit from these trees in the next generation, we need to plant now. The trees that people are cutting today were planted when some of us are not born.
So take personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility, and that's what we are saying. And this is very important, Maureen, that we need to capture young minds in school when they are young. And that's why we are very deliberately partnering with schools, because we are not only asking the school to partner with us to green their compounds, but also to educate these children on the importance of environmental conservation when they are young, and the importance of trees. And the rallying call for schools is plant your age. Plant your age. So if you are 10 years today, and maybe you are in class 4 or 5, plant 10 trees this year. Next year, plant 11 years. Next year, plant 12 years. By the time you are 50, you have your own forest, by planting your age every year. And this is the message you are taking to schools.
Okay. I guess that's your parting shot and the message you can give to young people and even everyone. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you to our viewer for tuning in and participating, and also on this discussion on the tree planting. And we have been told by Mr. Eric Naivasha, it is our personal responsibility to take the environment, our environmental, to another level. You take care of a tree. If you cut one, you can even plant even more than 3. So be careful with your environment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Eric, for having time for us and for enabling us to understand about the importance of the environment and for tree planting.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All
Thanks for
right.
having me.
All right. You're most welcome. Thank you so much. And that's all we had. Have a good afternoon. Goodbye.